teeth need treating. Dental Life dog treats help.
Welcome to the NARAS Cup Series at New Atlanta Motor Speedway. We are going to start qualifying here in about 1 minute. John Lewis on the top of the board here for Tricon Garage. David Callahan, last week's race winner, in second. Tanner Siddon in third. Josh Mason fourth. Trent Siddon in fifth. Christian Mullen sixth. Jordan Parker in seventh. Corey Rainey 8th, Lucas Lewis in 9th, John Deeds 10th, Kenneth Colson 11th, the 51 of Hess in 12th, 33 of Stinson in 13th, and Auten 14th. Not the normal Auten, this is Jordan Auten. As we are going to start our segue into qualifying here, everyone just kind of getting their last few seconds on the track before they start moving over. We are going to go ahead and hide the tower as we are going to move into qualifying here in a few seconds. David Callahan, obviously your winner last week in a 5-lap dash at the end after some controversy with Lucas Lewis and John Deeds. There was I believe, a penalty report afterwards, if I can find it real quick. That Lucas Lewis in the 24 will not be qualifying tonight after last week's event, so some minor incident, or a pretty major incident that results in him starting in the back here. Obviously, at Super Speedway, it's not as horrible, especially in this car. Now, if you were in the Gen 7 Cup car, it'd be more of an issue. But as we look at Tanner Siddon's qualifying, we also have Christian Mullen on track in the 5, David Callahan in the 81. New scheme again for Callahan this week. We have Trenton Siddon in the 99, and Dave Stinson returning. Missed last week after winning Daytona, but back to see if he can win another drafting track here in his 33 machine. As we now see John Deeds pull onto the track in his 22 Shell Pennzoil car. And that is all we have on track for now. I'm going to go ahead and watch, see who's first. Christian Mullen will be your first car across the line here at Atlanta, or I guess Echo Park Motor Speedway. Christian Mullen in the 5, going to go ahead and cross the line here with a time of 31.79. Siddon matches with a 31.80. Our next car in is going to be David Callahan. Sorry, it would be Dave Stinson with a 31.63. Then would be... So Stinson jumps Mullen. Siddon remains 1/100th behind Mullen. Callahan remains 4th, 1/10th or 100th behind Siddon. Mullen actually jumps over Stinson there. Siddon jumps Mullen. We're now waiting to see Stinson jumps them both back. Deeds moves to 4th. Callahan, 2nd lap. Good enough for pole currently. We're now waiting for... Looks like Trenton Siddon is going to move to 2nd in the 99. Who else is next? John Deeds coming around for his 2nd lap in the 22. See if he can go ahead and increase his start time. Make sure he doesn't hit that apron there. Remains in 6th. Adams with the 1st lap is good enough for 7th. Hess, good enough for 8th. Let's go ahead and ride along here with Caleb Hess. Hess's 2nd lap, you'll see him wrapping the bottom here to try and gain as much time as he can. Likely ran the top side his 1st lap. So let's see what he does here. Hahn, 9th. Let's see if Adams jumps at all. His time will go in before Hess does. Adams stays 7th. Caleb Hess will cross the line. Move to P2 over Trenton Siddon, 100th behind David Callahan. Let's go ahead and see what Joshua Hahn is doing here. Joshua Hahn going to go ahead and come across the line here, try and beat Callahan's time. We'll move to 3rd, not good enough to beat Hess. Jordan Parker had a very good car last week, got involved on the 1st wreck of the night on lap 5. Trying to rebound, still looking for his 1st one of the season. It's been close both weeks with cars definitely capable of winning. Wrecked at the end of Daytona. Just had 0 luck at Vegas. Wasn't really able to make a good shot at it, but qualified pole here. Let's see if he can go back to back. Jordan Parker crosses the line. Only moves up to 9th. He's 600ths behind Callahan's fastest lap. Joshua Mason, Kenneth Colson making their 2nd laps now. Kenneth is going to go ahead and cross the line here in his 28 machine. And Kenneth will move to P6 on the board here. No one really able to match Callahan's time is what I'm seeing. Callahan's kind of been up there for a bit now. Let's see if Josh Mason can do anything here. 88 has been kind of up and down. Really hasn't shown race winning pace yet. Qualifies 12th. And Corey Rainey seems like he's going to be our last person to qualify here. Obviously, you're still missing both Lewis machines. Corey Rainey's crossing the line. He'll move to 1st. He'll pass Callahan. I believe he will be our last one to qualify tonight. As we're have no qualifying time from the 77 of Corey McWilliams. We have no qualifying time from the 24 of Lucas Lewis, as he's lost his ability to qualify. Jordan Auten making his series debut in the 29 has not made a lap and is not on track. And same with John Lewis. John Lewis returning for the first time after Daytona last year. But let's go ahead and segue into our national anthem as qualifying is complete.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, and the home of the brave? Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. This land of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, in the home of the
And that is our national anthem as we wait for warm-ups to finish. I actually recently got a fancy new points graphic, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that on the screen here. As you can see, after Las Vegas, Dave Stinson and David Callahan, as of right now, are currently locked into the playoffs. Lucas Lewis currently holds the current points standings, 25 points ahead of Jordan Parker. Lucas obviously is the first driver in the playoffs without a win. So it's Lucas Lewis, Jordan Parker, Joshua Mason. All three of those cars are Parker Motorsports machines. Then you have the 22 of Deeds, who was so close to winning last week. Corey Rainey, his team owner. Christian Mullen, the final Parker Motorsports car in P8. Carden Hansen, who's not here tonight, in 9th. Kenneth Colson, who is here tonight after, I believe, missing last week, in 10th. Joey Beam in 11th. DPV in 12th. Joshua Hahn in 13th. Trent Sidden in 15th. In 14th. There's no numbers on the right side. Caleb Hess and Thomas Adams tied for 15th and 16th. Taylor Auten is out by 1 point, and Gavin Smith also out by 1 point. So we'll see what they're able to do tonight. Obviously, we're still waiting on the warm-ups and driver meeting, so no fun action for at least 4 minutes, and then obviously we still have to wait for the grid. So big stories tonight. Lucas Lewis will be coming from the back after missing qualifying. I would love to pull up the starting grid right now, but I can't. So yeah, 17 cars to take the green tonight, as far as I'm aware, based on practice. We'll see how many finish. We had 5 on the lead lap after Vegas. We had a crash on lap 5 that resulted in a lot of chaos. Jordan Parker almost came back from that wreck, but had to fall ill to some damage. So like I said, David Callahan, your defending winner from last week. Dave Stinson, your defending Super Speedway winner. He's your Daytona 500 champion. So we will see if he's able to replicate that at the drafting track of Atlanta tonight. Choose cone actually was a major issue last week, so we'll see if the drivers are able to clean that up a little bit. It's been an issue the last 2 weeks, so I'd assume that Jordan is going over this in the drivers' meeting. This is kind of a slightly important, thing to go over, so I would assume that's what's going on. But yeah, so right now, like I said, waiting on Jordan Parker. We're going to go ahead and hear from our friends at iRacing about this track when it was reconfigured. Alright, that is obviously the reconfigured Atlanta. That video is from 3 years ago, so maybe not completely up to date, but it is close enough to what we're doing. Obviously, there's been some changes since that update, with Echo Park buying the naming rights of the track, now making it Echo Park Motor Speedway. We're still calling it Atlanta, because Echo Park doesn't pay me. So, that's kind of, if they want to pay me, I'm not against it. So, we are going to go, or start gridding here in about a minute. We are just waiting to hear from our pole sitter. I would like to see if I can pull him in here. I believe we have 2 pace laps. I would pull them now, but they're still in the meeting, so they're cutting it a little close. They got about 30 seconds left. So yeah, we will get underway tonight. Trying to look here. There's 6 sets of tires in the pits here. Obviously, we didn't want to give them too little tires with it being a new combo. The 2021 Cup cars is not something that goes with Atlanta commonly. So obviously, we just kind of want to play with it a little bit. Alright, and that is going to be a warm-up, and hopefully the driver's meeting done. We will see when I can't pull anybody. So, let's go ahead and see. They're still in the meeting room. They're making my life a lot harder. Yeah, they're making my life a lot harder. Trying to take a look here. Obviously, Corey Rainey's on pole. I'll try and grab a word with him, but I don't want to pull him out of the driver's meeting. A longer driver's meeting than usual. Some not happy remarks after last week, I'm assuming. Because there were some slight issues at Las Vegas last week. Like I said, obviously with the lap 5 wreck. It was lap 4. Lap 4 wreck. And the finish of that race was pretty controversial with a lot of drivers. So, Corey Rainey on pole. David Callahan in second. Caleb Hess in third. As we are going to pull up. Yeah, Corey Rainey first, David Callahan second, Caleb Hess moving to Toyota for the first time in third, Joshua Hahn in fourth, Trenton Sidden sits fifth, Dave Stinson returning after winning Daytona in sixth, Kenneth Coulson in seventh, Tanner Sidden in eighth, Christian Mullen ninth, John Deeds 10th, Jordan Parker 11th, and Thomas Adams in 12th. Moving on to the next set of these guys, we have Joshua Mason in 13th, Lucas Lewis in 14th, John Lewis in 15th, Corey McWilliams in 16th, and Jordan Auten in 17th. Race control is not important. We are going to try to go ahead and catch up with one of Corey Rainey if it allows me. Let's try and grab him here. Corey, this is Owen in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, what's up?
So obviously you find yourself on pole. It's, I believe, the first time in this season, but obviously you have some experience with it after season 1. This locks you into the clash for next year. So how do you approach this race starting from first?
I'm just going to get this first lap in, try to lead a lap here. We're probably going to drop back and save some fuel. Looks like we're only getting around 37 laps. We probably can, I think the stages are, what, 50 laps? Maybe?
I believe so.
Yeah,
check.
So we're going to see if we can round it back here.
45, 45, 77 is what I'm reading.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to try to get it in the back here. We're going to lead a lap here, get it in the back, and try to save some fuel, try to make it this first stage without pitting.
All right, so, I mean, obviously survival is going to be big here. You don't want to wreck out early. To what extent do you kind of back off, but to a point where you're still going to gain some sort of stage points and have a respectable finish?
Well, it just depends on how the cautions fall. If we get a whole bunch of early cautions, then we'll just go ahead and pit and get the fuel and just ride around and let the cars fall like they fall. Mainly, hopefully everybody keeps it clean. I know these tires will get bad super fast, so hopefully around lap 15 we're single file and not double file.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you, I guess, focus on this restart. Good luck today.
Appreciate it, man. Have fun in the booth.
Will do. That was Corey Rainey, your pole sitter for tonight. We are currently... Yeah, so from what I'm hearing, you're getting about 36, 37 laps on fuel tonight. So we're going to have to see kind of what we expect. We'll see some people stretch it a little bit because they'll be in the back saving fuel. You'll see some people pit a little bit earlier to try and get the tires. Tires here are going to matter more than any other drafting track. It's a lot, I guess you could say it slides a lot more in Atlanta. Yeah, so really just kind of balancing your fuel and your tires, and we'll see how they can do that here. But Corey Rainey will take us to the restart zone for our first lap of the day. Joshua Hahn on his outside. 2 Fords on the front row, a Toyota and a Ford in the second. Our first Chevy is found in the third row with a pair of Siddon brothers. As we get the green here from Atlanta Motor Speedway, Corey Rainey in first, trying to get that first lap led like he said. So he's trying to get that help from the 51 of Hess as early as he can. Hess will get to the back of the one of Corey Rainey. Joshua Hahn going to get left out to dry. Dave Stinson, I believe, must have missed a gear on the start, but that's going to cost that outside line. As you can see, they've already lost so much position. So Corey Rainey is out in front by a few car lengths. Caleb Hess sits behind. Trent Sinnen is behind that. And Kenneth... Actually, Joshua Hahn's already in the outside wall here. So we saw that 42. He's really tight. It's interesting to see this early in the run. You know, someone like Joshua Hahn might have only practiced on the bottom, so he's not used to being on that top side. As we see Caleb Hess trying to go under the one of Rainey. Obviously, Rainey said he'd get that one lap and start dropping back, so this might be Rainey's idea. Gonna hope that, you know, he can drop back and get in line and try and save some fuel here, I believe. Caleb Hess in the new Tricon Garage team. Obviously took his 51 to that Toyota. Leads lap 2 as we watch Corey Rainey continue to fall back. Jordan Parker trying to rebound after a rough Las Vegas and Daytona. Obviously had the opportunity to win at Daytona and had a very strong car at Las Vegas before his accident. Didn't really get to prove anything though because of how early his accident was. So, Caleb Hess continues to lead. Trent Siddon behind, Kenneth Colson in third, Christian Mullen in fourth, and Jordan Parker in fifth. You might see Jordan try and work with Christian here. Obviously, Parker Motorsports hasn't had the teamwork that they would have liked. Not really on the same level as they were last year. But you have 3 of them lined up in a row here. I think someone that's going to be fun to watch is going to be the 24 of Lucas Lewis. Relatively aggressive. He's already up 3 spots. He has the fastest lap of the race with a 29.7 flat. So, you know, really looking to see what he can do here. He's one of the few people trying to run the top side. David Callahan, last week's winner, is the other one on top. As he tried to slot in front of Josh Hahn, just wasn't able to make it fit. So you might see those 2 on the top start to slide back a little bit. Just depending on how they're able to push and get through this pack here. So we'll really have to see how these 2 do. I think, you know, this might be a move that works later in the race, but I don't know how viable it would be now. Actually, they are continuing to make ground. They've passed the 88 of Mason. Lewis might actually be able to slot in line with his Parker Motorsports teammates. He's actually going to keep going forward, it seems like, though. Him and Callahan are starting to charge to the front, so there's a possibility you could have a Toyota versus Toyota battle for the lead for the first time. I think, actually, in NARAS history, we've never had more than 1 or 2 Toyotas. So, really looking to see here. Yeah, Callahan's actually moved all the way up to third, is looking for second on Trenton Siddon, and might be looking for first on Caleb Hess. You might see Hess move to the top to work with his manufacturer teammate. Obviously, Callahan drives for himself with David Callahan Racing. Callahan's on the outside of Hess, and Callahan's actually going to get ahead of Hess, so we might see these 2 come from 12th and 13th to the lead. We'll see if Lucas Lewis gets clear to the bottom here, if they try to stay on the top. The top, I believe, is actually better for tires here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So we'll see what they're able to do. As you see them both shift down to the bottom in front of Caleb Hess. Lucas Lewis did not get to make a qualifying lap. 7 laps in, has moved up to 2nd place. Used that top line all the way around and was able to take 2nd place. We'll have to see what his teammates do to get back up to him, as right now they are stuck in... Actually, Christian Mullen might have fallen back here. But Parker's 6th, Mullen 7th, and Josh Mason in 8th. As actually Josh Mason's going to pull up, maybe trying to get around the 5 of Mullen. Or actually maybe around the 5 of Parker. As we'll have to see here. The 2 Fisher Studios cars are throwing me off because they both have that teal hood and very similar hoods. Well, teal roofs and very similar hoods. So we'll have to see. I mean, if they can get split up, it'll make my life a little bit easier here. So, Caleb Hess looking to the outside. I don't think he'll be able to get anything done alone. I think he'll have to get some kind of help from either Trenton Siddon or someone back. But we see the top 3 is actually pulled away a little bit. They are gapped slightly. They're not pushing. Maybe a little bit down the front and down the back. But, you know, in the corners, you can't really push at Atlanta. So, really, the most pushing you're going to do is going to be on that back straightaway. As we see Mason go under the 5 of Mullen. And actually, Mullen's actually falling back because Hahn's gone by him. Stinson is now going by him. You can see him on the top side of the back of your screen there. He'll slide in right in front of Sidden. As we actually see this pack back here, Corey, Rainey, and all them. See, I don't know if they're saving fuel or what happened to Rainey here, but they are losing considerable time. I think they possibly could be saving fuel. This is 3 Fords here. It's the 1 of Rainey, the 77 of Corey McWilliams, and the 64 of Thomas Adams. John Deeds further back in 15th. John Lewis making his return from season 1 in 16th, and Jordan Auten making his series debut in 17th. So we are going to go ahead and go back to the battle for the lead here. It seems like the second, or I guess this group that the top 3 had broken away from is now back to the 51 of Hess. So we may see a possible move here for third from Trenton Sidden. Jordan Parker, you know, we really don't know how aggressive he's going to be. I think it's highly likely you could see him try to make some aggressive moves because you know how badly he wants this race win. But at the same time, you also know that, you know, he doesn't want to tear up another car after the last 2 weeks. But he also has the 28 of Kenneth Coulson behind him, who does seem to be a pretty good teammate for the 9, even though they're not on the same team or even the same manufacturer. Kenneth usually does a pretty good job of sitting behind Jordan. I think Jordan trusts Kenneth a lot. As Jordan's going to go to the inside here, Trenton Sidden. I don't think he'll get the move done, but he was looking for it into 1. He's still going to try and peek that nose out, try and make sure that the temps don't get too high. Is he going to try to move to the inside of Sidden? Sidden actually just moves to the high line. Looks like he lets off a little bit because he's fallen back pretty hard. So not entirely sure. Looks like a fuel-saving maneuver. Actually, you've the other 2 Parker Motorsports cars with Fisher Studios machines up there as well. You see Mullen and Mason actually both drop down to the bottom, as Mullen may actually lose the back here. We'll have to see. Sidden is actually losing even more. We saw him start dropping pretty rapidly. Corey Rainey's now down 7 seconds. Obvious. So stage 1 is going to end on lap 45, stage 2 lap 90, and then we will run it out to the end. David Callahan remains your leader in first. Lucas Lewis trying maybe to go to the lead here, or he might try and play the long game. Lucas really doesn't care about anything other than the stage win and the win, so I think he's willing to sit second, especially at a drafting track where he can make that move on the last lap of the stage. You really just don't want to get caught out and have a caution happen while you're stuck in second, and it costs you that precious playoff point. As you know, Lucas is going to want as many of those as he can. He wants to make a deep. Everyone wants to make a deep playoff run, and stage wins are a very big part of that. Regular season is a big part of that, and Lucas Lewis currently is on the top of those standings by 25 points. So if he continues to run second, he doesn't have to win every stage, but if he stays consistent and finishes consistent every race, he can run away with those playoff standings really quickly. So people really should look out for Lucas Lewis, even if he does get a lot of bad rep for how he races so aggressively, especially in these cars. You know, he has the results to back it up, and it's not like he's going out there and wrecking for 10th. You know, he's going out there and racing really hard for the top, 5 positions, and for the most part, he's getting the good end of it. So Lucas is really doing what he can to try and get the best finish that he can. David Callahan remains in first. Obviously, no major changes here. Jordan Parker sits fourth. You may see him try and either work with the 24 of Lewis or the 51 of Hess. I think it's very possible you could see the 24 move to the high side. We've seen that high side work with 2 cars who are willing to push the problem. So, if the 24 and the 9 get hooked together when they're teammates, that could be really dangerous for the 2 Toyotas of the 51 and 81. Although I do believe they will be working together as they have the manufacturer teammates. As we see, Lucas kind of moves to the middle a little bit. Actually, he's going to clear down on Caleb Hess. That was a risky move from Lewis. I don't know how that's going to go over with race control here. As Caleb Hess probably will not be happy with that one. Corey Rainey now back 11.5 seconds. So that second pack of Rainey, McWilliams, Adams, Deeds, Lewis, and I guess Auten is off the back of that. They're continuing to lose time. And Jordan Parker's loose. Jordan Parker is able to get back in line, but you see him get loose on that top side. Obviously, none of these drivers have practice in this car at this track. It's a combo that never gets run on iRacing. as this version of the track wasn't introduced until after this car essentially was retired. To the point that this car could have been a legacy car by now, but it's just not a combo that you see commonly. Usually when you get the Gen 6 cars at Atlanta, you're thinking of 2021 Atlanta or sooner. I guess technically it's a 2008 Atlanta. But you're thinking of the old Atlanta. You're not thinking of the super speedway, drafting track, all that. As we see, it looks like a second pack is kind of formed between this main pack and the rainy pack is what we'll call it. It seems to be Joshua Mason, Trent Siddon, and the 42 of Han. Tanner Siddon is still in this front pack. He's second to last in this front pack. So there's 7 or 8 cars in the main pack right now. And then you have that small kind of secondary pack led by Josh Mason, and then you have the rainy pack back, 12 and a half seconds behind. So you may see it kind of be relaxed, like I said, especially after Las Vegas. It's a very different style than Vegas, and the drivers know that, and they're approaching it differently. As we see, Caleb Hess actually gets to the inside of Lewis, and looks like the 9 of Parker will follow behind, so Parker will not go out to help his teammate. And Lewis will fall back to 4th. Callahan continues to lead. So now you have the 2 Toyotas lined up in front. Like I said, I do believe they will work together, but we'll have to see here. So it's the 2 Toyotas together, and then you have the 2 Parker Motorsports cars, and then you have 2 Fords, 2 Chevys, 2 Fords. Or sorry, it's a lot of pairs of 2 right now. So we'll have to see how that plays out later in this race. As Caleb Hess actually got shuffled out of line there. Looks like he'll fall back to 4th after sitting 3rd for so long. Kenneth Colson remains in 5th, Dave Stinson 6th, Tanner Siddon 7th, Christian Mullen in 8th, and Joshua Mason in 9th. Let's go ahead and ride along with the 9 of Jordan Parker here and see what he's doing in the cockpit. Oh, Jordan Parker's actually going to make a move here. Sorry, we're not watching that. Jordan Parker actually just made a move to the inside of Callahan on the front stretch. Of course, I went in car at like the worst time possible. We gotta take a look at this move here. Jordan Parker on the front stretch actually made a move on Callahan. So Callahan moved up to the top, so Callahan's on the bottom. There's the gap to Parker. Callahan takes the racing line. Parker cuts it low. Lewis follows. Looks like Hess might follow as well. And now you have both Parker Motorsports cars 1 and 2. That's a big change earlier in this race. As we see the 2 Toyotas in the field side by side. Obviously the 3rd Toyota of John Lewis back in 16th. Taylor Auten may actually, or sorry, not Taylor Auten. Jordan Auten actually may be in jeopardy of going a lap down if he continues to lose time like this. But at the same time, I also don't think this front pack is pushing too incredibly hard. The rainy pack is only losing maybe a second or half a second each lap. As we see, Caleb Hess is going to go to the top around Lucas Lewis. Callahan looks like they're going to follow. So the Toyotas seem to be on the same page here. So we'll see what they're able to do. We saw 2 cars in Lewis and Callahan go all the way around this entire pack earlier in this race when there were more cars. Callahan and Hess only have to pass 2 cars compared to like the 10 that Callahan and Lewis had to pass earlier in this race. So we'll have to see. But you also know that Lewis is going to be a lot more aggressive on the rear bumper of Parker than, was earlier in this race. So let's see. Hess is now fighting with Parker for the lead. Looks like he'll have the run off of 2. Callahan will try to follow. And we'll see Callahan try and get clear here. Hess, I believe, is almost clear. He's just trying to get that other Toyota of Callahan with him. As Hess is clear of the 9 car, Callahan tries to follow. Callahan is clear. Will they cut down or stay high? Looks like they'll stay high for one more lap. As they cut down maybe into 1. Could have been close there with the 9. You see 2 wide. It looks like the 5 of Mullen trying to make up some ground after he lost a bunch of it earlier. We didn't really see the teamwork. Oh, looks like Jordan Parker is going to try to go to the inside of Callahan, but that isn't going to work out. Callahan remains on the back of the 51 of Hess. And Hess, after so many laps, is back to the point of this race. Actually, it looks like they might be pulling away from the 9 and 24 a little bit here. As there's a bit of a gap, but there's also a very good chance the 9 is letting off to try and pull this run. I'm surprised we haven't seen... Oh! I'm surprised we haven't seen this 9 try and move to the outside to try and make some ground, knowing how aggressive the 9 of Parker can be. Because he has that teammate behind him of Lewis, but at the same time, with how many issues Lewis has had recently in the last 2 weeks, I don't know how much he trusts that 24 car. And that's going to play a big role in a drafting track like this, because you need to trust those around you. And what they really need to trust right now is their fuel tanks, because as of right now, these lead lap cars, this lead pack is not going to get there. The Rainy pack, if they're saving like we think, there's a very good chance that they can make it on fuel, and it could trap some of these lead pack cars a lap down. As Hess remains first, Callahan second, Toyotas remain 1-2. We actually see someone on pits, looks like the 64, Thomas Adams. Finally gave up on fuel. There's an interesting call there. He seemed to pit alone. I don't see anyone else in pits, so 64 of Adams with an interesting call there. Not entirely sure what the purpose was. As we see the Rainy pack just now crossing the start finish. There might be a caution here on the track. We've seen a lot of movement. So we go back to Josh Mason. It looks like he might have fallen back. Actually, there was a major change up here. Oh, we have a lot of pits. We have a lot of people on pit road here. So we have the 81 of Callahan. This is a lot of people at once. We have the 81 of Callahan, the 28 of Coulson, the 33 of Stinson, the 90, both sit-in brothers. We have the 81. Okay, 81 is in now as well. Or sorry, 81 was already in. So that entire second pack just passed all of these pit cars. So it looks like a lot of the Fords, one of the Toyotas, both sit-in brothers, as they're actually going to take tires here. I don't know if I agree with that on how short of a run they have to the stage end. As we see the rest of this front pack actually stays out. It looks like Caleb Hess might actually still be on track. As no, he's going to pit in with the rest of these cars here. So we'll see what Rainey does. Rainey's going to jump to the front. Maybe looking for a caution. So I want to go in car with Rainey, and I want to see his throttle inputs here. So it looks like he's not full throttle. Actually, no, Rainey's going to pit this time. So Rainey's on the pit road now. As we actually have a caution here. We have a caution on track. Dave Stinson looks like he crashed off a pit road. That is major for a lot of these guys who just pit. So Dave Stinson crashed off a pit road. We'll have to see if there's any sort of contact here in play or if he just lost it on his own. Obviously on new tires. So we take a look. Looks like he just lost it. So he's on the bottom here. It's not the optimal line to take on pit exit here at Atlanta. Gets on the banking. Yeah, just loses it on that transition. And right here is what... Oh! That is not a good hit to the front of that car. So he was in that first group of people who pit. People like Jordan Parker are going to benefit from this greatly because they've just been leaving pit road. So, you know, there's a very high chance that Jordan Parker could actually inherit the lead after this. As the 51 of Hess got jumped majorly on pit road, he went from first to fourth on his strategy. So we're just waiting to see what these guys can do. So that traps Joshua Hahn a lap down, although he will get it back via the lucky dog. Thomas Adams will remain a lap down, and Jordan Auten will actually go 2 laps down here. As I believe that's going to be it for the pit cycle. We will go green with a little bit to go. But we are going to hear from iRacing during this commercial, or during this caution. And as we come back, we're going to see what happens here. I believe all these cars, all these cars ahead of Parker are actually lap cars that are choosing to take the wave around. Jordan Parker chooses the top here for this final restart. Well, not final restart, for this restart. So it looks like Parker, Mason will be lined up on the top. Lewis will be the first car on the bottom. So you have 3 Parker Motorsports cars. Looks like Caleb Hess will be on the bottom. Christian, you have all 4 Parker Motorsports cars are currently sitting in the top 5. I don't know what's going on with Stinson. He's a lap down. I don't think he was waved around the pace car. So I believe he's meant to go to the back here. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. So yeah, you have 3 Parker Motorsports cars lined up on the top. And from there you have... Yeah, that's very interesting. So you have all 4 Parker Motorsports cars. You have the 51 of Hess. You have the 1 of Rainey, who's come back from like 13th. He was back there pretty much after he led that lap. He dropped back and kind of accepted his fate a little bit. Just kind of let it go. As it looks like we are going to go green here. As the pace car... Well, we're waiting for the pace car to pull off. Jordan Parker is going to take the field to green here. The first restart of the night after the first caution. Jordan Parker is going to go in the restart zone here. With a little push from the 88 of Mason. Mason gets a little bit loose in the rear. Jordan always gonna clear down in front of the 24. Maybe not the best communication here from the Parker Motorsports team. Christian Mullen gonna try and clear down in front of the 51 of Hess. Hess is not gonna let him in. They're stuck 2x2 from second. As Lewis Hess on the bottom, Mason Mullen on the top. Jordan Parker kind of alone in front. You can see Lewis possibly make a move here, as he's gonna have a run out of 4. Mason and Mullen falling back. Mullen drops to the bottom. Mason looking for a hole. Lucas possibly looking for a move here. We're going to have 7 to go in the stage. Stage 1 ends on lap 45, according to the race check-in released earlier this week. Obviously, last week I thought that, and then it was 50, so we'll have to see. Jordan Parker continues to lead. His teammate of Lewis behind. 51 of Hess breaks up the Parker Motorsports group as Mason and Mullen sit 4th and 5th. Mick Williams making his series debut in 6th. Corey Rainey in 7th. David Callahan 8th. John Deeds in 9th. Trent Sidden in 10th. Tanner Sidden in 11th. Kenneth Colson in 12th. Falling off the back, same with the 15 of John Lewis. Then you have Hahn a lap down, Dave Stinson a lap down, Thomas Adams 2 laps down, Jordan Naughton in the pits, and that'll round out your field as of right now. So we're coming to 5 to go in the stage. Lucas, not sure if he's trying to chase this 9 car or protect this 9 car. Hess is falling back on the outside. We'll see if he can get down to the bottom. He's not going to do so. McWilliams probably is going to try and fill this hole here before Hess can get down. Hess actually looks like he might get a run on the top here, getting a push from Callahan. The Toyotas are linked back up on the top, and this is exactly what got them to the lead earlier. So we'll have to see what they can do here with 5 to go. As they're in 3 and 4 now, Lewis remains behind. Actually has a really bad corner, falls all the way back to Mason. Hess and Callahan are going to get a massive run on second here, and we'll have to see what Jordan Parker does. Lewis blinks out a little, nothing major. Callahan remains glued to the back of Hess. Hess to the outside of Parker. Hess is actually going to get ahead of Parker. He'll try and pull Callahan again like he did earlier. It looks like they're pulling... I believe the one of Rainey is actually in the back of this top line. Yeah, that's the one of Rainey in the Monster Energy Ford Mustang 1 car. As Rainey's kind of come from out of nowhere. Hess moves to the lead. Callahan clear for second. Rainey trying to get there on the top. Hess and Callahan seem to go low. Looks like Rainey might not get the run he wanted now that he doesn't have the draft of those 2 cars in front. They are gone. Callahan and Hess are gone. However, they are going to have a massive run from the 9 of Parker behind them, who's going to definitely take it for the stage win here. He needs playoff points if he's going to make a deep run in this playoffs. He knows how valuable those playoff points are after last season. He's going to try and move to the top here. Looks like he's not going to get the run. He's going to cut back down in front of his teammate of Lewis. All 4 Parker Motorsports cars are lined up. 3rd through 6th are all Parker Motorsports Chevrolets. It's Toyota versus Chevy right now. Ford behind this line of Chevys. Parker still looking to get a run here. 2 to go until the end of the stage. Parker still remains behind Callahan, not able to make a run towards the leader. Hess stays on the bottom. Callahan might be looking for a move here. Jordan actually gets stuck on the outside. Lewis to the bottom. Lewis is going to make the move on Parker for third. Is going to clear him. Looks like Lewis is going to have to take this run either out of 2 or into 3. We'll have to see what he does here. Lewis has the draft of Callahan behind. You can see the run. If you look at the timing board, you can see how much time he's going to gain down this backstretch. Hundredths at a time. Lucas Lewis looking for a move. Goes low. Looks like he's going to get stuck behind the 81. Isn't able to make the move. Gets stuck on the top. Caleb Hess and David Callahan able to link up. Toyota is going to win the first stage. Actually, Hess is going to blink out as he crosses the line. Are we going to 50? No, caution is out. Caleb Hess will be your stage 1 winner. David Callahan second. Lucas Lewis third. Joshua Mason fourth. Christian Mullen fifth. Jordan Parker ninth. Looks like McRaney or Williams, or McWilliams or Rainey will be 7th or 8th. Trenton Sidden will be 9th, and the 28 of Coulson in 10th. Looks like Rainey will take 7th, and McWilliams will take 8th, with Coulson 9th and Sidden 10th. That's the issue, is I don't get like a final lap count. So, but here's the big thing. Hess has had horrible luck all season in his Ford 51 Mustang. Moved to Toyota tonight on a whim for the new Tricon team, and has gone out and won the first stage. Hess was involved in that heavy wreck on lap 4 at Las Vegas last week. Was taken out without even getting to make a run at any sort of points, and is able to come out tonight and make up for some of that. Obviously, if we look at the points sheet, looks like Hess is barely above the cut line here at +1. So this is going to be major because he's going to jump 10. He gained 10 points on Thomas Adams. And he also gained 10 on Otten and Smith. So that's a lot of points there. He actually might have jumped Trenton as well. So Caleb Hess, that was a big gain for him there. So we will have to see what they do with that car. So we are waiting for the pit cycle right now. I believe they will pit next time by. Actually, no, Hess is going to stay out here. Looks like Rainey, Parker. Okay, so interesting split strategy. A lot of the leaders stayed out. A lot of the guys behind him decided to pit in. So we're going to go ahead and pull up the 51 of Caleb Hess for an interview. That is not Caleb. I want Caleb. Caleb, this is Owen in the booth. Do you got me? So obviously you moved to Toyota about 5 hours before this race. You went from the bad luck with Ford to winning a stage in your first start with Toyota. So obviously you and Callahan probably, in my opinion, have had better teamwork than that Parker Motorsports team. How do y'all manage this race for the rest of tonight? Yeah, I'm gonna let you go so you can do that, but congratulations on the stage win here. And that is Caleb Hess with the new Tricon Garage team. So Caleb, there's a weird split here. It looks like some people pit a lap early and were able to get the track position. Which I don't entirely understand what happened there. So I'm guessing the pit road opened before some drivers could get in. Looks like a gas and go for the 51 of Hess. But Joshua Mason's going to inherit the lead of this race. I'm a little confused here. Some of the placement. So Mason, Parker, Rainey, Sidden, both Sidden brothers, John Lewis, all pitted lap 47. All the cars behind him pit lap 48. So I guess I'm not entirely sure why they were able to pit a lap sooner. Sometimes iRacing can be weird. So that's probably what it was. So, okay. The entire top half of the field forgot about the turn 3 pit entry in Atlanta. So in Atlanta, you have to essentially start your pit road entry in turn 3. Most tracks you're entering out of 4. So a lot of the top guys kind of forgot how that works. So the caution laps were actually extended to allow those guys to pit after that incident. So Rainey is going to go back on the pit road. He's going to try and stretch his fuel. So the next lap, the next stage is lap 90. So about 40 laps from now. Looks like we might have the choose cone this time. Mason and Parker will choose the bottom. Both Sidden brothers will be on the top. So it'll be Parker Motorsports versus the Sidden brothers on this next restart. We see Hess in 5th. He'll choose the top. His teammate of John Lewis will choose the bottom. You have Dave Stinson on the bottom, Christian Mullen, Kenneth Colson, Joshua Hahn. On the top, you have David Callahan. Looks like behind Callahan, you're going to have the 24 of Lewis. I don't see anyone behind the 24 of Lewis, so it looks like this top side is going to have a few less people than they did at the start of this race when you're required to start evenly. So actually, we're going to see the 29 choose this top side. Obviously, 29 is 7 laps down. It stayed in pits for an extended period of time. Joshua Mason, as it stands, would be up 12 spots. Tanner Sidden up 6. Jordan Parker up 8. John Lewis is up 10, actually, as of right now, on that bottom side in that 15 Toyota. So this is going to be interesting. You've got the 2 Parker Motorsports on the bottom. You have the 2 Sidden brothers on the top. And then row 3 is actually both Tricon drivers. So if they can get in line, you could possibly see a 2v2v2 here. So this could be a very chaotic restart, possibly. So we're just waiting to see what happens here. As the pace car is going to pull off onto pit road, we're going to see Josh Mason try and restart this race. Jordan Parker's going to give a massive shove to the 88 there. Possibly give some damage to the front of that 9 car. It's going to shove the 88 way in front. And the 9 is actually going to clear as well. So might be stealing a little bit of my strategy there, but we'll have to see how it works. The big thing is the 9 is going to have a massive run on this 88. So the question is, does the 9 push the 88 or does he make a move? So we'll have to see here going into 3, because I believe that's when the 9 is going to catch this 88 car. The 9 behind Josh Mason. Looks like he's going to stay low here. Kind of manage that gap to the rear of the 88 car. Both Toyotas are actually back on the top here. Hess and Callahan looking to make the same move they did when... Oh, Parker's going to block it. Parker doesn't want them getting back to the lead here. He wants Josh Mason to lead some laps. I don't know how happy Hess is going to be about that. Mason jumps to the top as well. So this top side actually is, for the first time tonight, has the numbers advantage. Parker going to pull down actually to the inside of Mason. It's going to leave his teammate out to dry. And he won't even pull back up here, it looks like. No, he's going to stay glued to the inside. So kind of left his teammate out to dry there. And that's some of that loss of teamwork we've seen from Parker Motorsports over the season change. You know, they don't have that communication like they used to, and they aren't able to pull each other like they used to. As you see, Jordan's going to try and pull this top side on the straight, but he's going to have to go back to the bottom as he's got both Sidden brothers working together, while as the 51 is kind of letting the 88 fall back here, it looks like. Lucas Lewis is actually also on this top side, so looks like you have Jordan Parker in first, both Sidden brothers second and third. You have the 88 of Mason continuing to lose ground on the top. Looks like he's going to try and find a way down. Unable to do so. His own teammate won't. His teammate of Christian Mullen finally lets him down. So it looks like Hess and Callahan may have the ability to try and make another run here. The big thing for Parker Motorsports is the fact that Lucas Lewis is also on this top side. So you want to block the run from the Toyotas, but at the same time, you don't want to keep your teammate of Lewis from being able to move up. Because right now, Lewis is stuck in 9th. He's on the edge of stage points with 35 laps to go in this stage. So, I'm just kind of waiting to see. You keep seeing Mason like half slide up the track. I'm wondering if he's going to try and block this top side to get the momentum. But he's really only going to have a few more chances to do so here. So we're going to go ahead and follow along with Hess here. We're going to see what he's able to do. He's alongside the outside of Christian Mullen in that 5 car. Now he's to the outside of the 88 of Mason. We're starting to see this top line start to move. So it's Hess, Callahan, and Lewis alone on the top. Everyone else is lined up on the bottom. So if the three on the top can make a run for that lead, the major applaud to them, because that's not normal. So it looks like that the front four is starting to pull away a little bit. The 51's kind of gridlocked with this 5 car right now. I'm not entirely sure where the 15 of Lewis and Deeds actually both fell back again. I think they're playing self-preservation right now, just seeing how close this racing is. You really want to be there at the end, and I think that's really their goal right now. But they are kind of costing themselves stage points at the same time, so it's a little bit of risk versus reward. And they've chosen not to take that risk and not have a chance of that reward as of right now. So obviously that's a strategy call by them. They both have the ability to run up here. Obviously we saw Deeds almost win last week. Got unlucky at Daytona 2 weeks ago. We'll have to see what happens with them today. As Hess still trying to lead this top side, just really hasn't been able to get anywhere. So kind of gridlocked right now. He's back to the outside of the 88, but they haven't had the run to the point that Lewis actually went to the bottom to get the run and moved back up. Looks like that hole might be filled by Coulson, so Lewis might have given up his only chance. But Lewis wants to go forward. He wants the win. He wants to be in first. He's very aggressive about it. Sometimes to the point where it can cause an incident. But you know, he's not going out there trying to wreck people. He's just trying to get as many positions as he can, and sometimes there's a little bit of contact involved. And sometimes there's a lot of contact involved, so it really just depends. Oh, he's 3 wide here. Mason's going to go to the inside of Trenton Sidden. Sidden's going to go up the track. Sidden's kind of swerving, doesn't really know where to go. 3 wide at Atlanta's not usually very normal. Looks like Lucas Lewis barely is going to get around this 99 car. That could have been really bad. You saw Sidden get into the left door of Callahan, but that really gave Hess and Callahan a run. But Jordan Parker's going to get up there and block it. Tanner Sidden is going to go ahead and move to the bottom of Parker. Going to try and get that position. He won't get it because there's no run there with no help behind. Hess is actually going to go to the outside of Parker. Is not going to give Parker the opportunity to block it. A smart move from Hess. Went all the way to the wall there for that move. Hess is going to be clear of Parker. Looks like they're going to try and bring the 81 of Callahan. I don't know if they'll try and bring the 24 of Lucas. I think having the 24 behind you is kind of risky. Not in a way of like you're going to get wrecked, but just in a way of like you know he's not afraid to make that move. So Parker to the inside of Callahan isn't going to let Callahan get down. Looks like Hess is going to be pretty committed to that 81 car. We'll see if Hess moves down. No, he'll decide to stay with Callahan, try to pull Callahan back ahead of that 9 car. We've seen these two Toyotas work together pretty much all night. They've done a really good job of doing so. Obviously, David Callahan Racing and Tricon Garage do have the manufacturer alliance, so it is likely you'll see, you know, stuff like this for the entirety of the drafting tracks for this season. Callahan blinks out a little bit. Hess will lead lap 62. As we go on to lap 63, a little less than 30 laps to go in the stage here. So if there's a caution and drivers pit for fuel, they will make it to the end. Now these guys in the back who aren't on the throttle the whole time, a fuel run is 37 laps. You can save 3 laps of fuel here in Atlanta pretty easily if you're in the back of this pack. So there's a good chance some of these guys in the front, they're going to have to pit, while some of these guys in the back, they're going to stay out. So there's a chance that some of these guys up front might get lapped. And, you know, the guys who are able to stay out and win the stage by forcing these guys to take the wave around are going to also restart in first for the final stage and kind of have control over this race. Obviously, at a drafting track, it's not too much control because it's so easy to get a run here. So we've seen this top side time and time again be able to take that run and go up front. It's actually Lucas Lewis is back up to third. He's clear of the 9 of Parker. He's going to try and go to the inside of Callahan. He will make that move. To the inside of Callahan, looking to the inside of Hess. He won't have the run there as he doesn't have the assistance for Parker. Parker will get to the rear of Lewis now, but that top side just has too much momentum with Hess and Callahan. They will clear for first and second. So Hess back to the point once again, alone with Callahan. A little gap back to Lewis. Lewis will get the draft. We'll close that. We'll see the same line that we've seen a few times. Really what we're waiting for We're waiting for Lewis to make a dive to the inside of Callahan on the front stretch, or waiting to see someone like Jordan Parker move to the top here and try and get this run. He's got Tanner Siddon behind him. So it's one of the Siddon brothers and Jordan Parker. You'll see Hess and Callahan move to the top to defend this run because they know how powerful it is. Parker's actually going to make a crazy move to the bottom there. Barely was able to get in front of Lewis. That's an impressive move there from Parker. Lewis is going to move up there a little bit. But I don't think Parker's going to be able to keep this lead for a long time as this top side is just going to have too much momentum. Parker does lead the lap, but we'll have to see if he wins this battle here. You do have 3 Parker Motorsports teammates lined up on the bottom here, though. It's the 9 of Parker, the 24 of Lewis, and the 88 of Joshua Mason. And then you have both Toyotas in Hess and Callahan, and then you have the 96 of Tanner Siddon on the top side. Looks like Parker's actually going to get a really good run. Possibly could clear this top side. We'll have to see if he defends it or if he decides to stick with his team. Looks like he's going to decide to bring the 24 of Lewis with him. We'll have to see what this top side can do. Seems like the top side is either really good or falls back. It kind of gets gridlocked for a little bit, so we'll have to see if they can muster a run. And some of it might have to do with Callahan's temperatures behind the 51 of S and just not being able to push as much. As we see Corey McWilliams kind of hasn't been there all day. He was in that rainy, what we call the rainy pack earlier in this race, so really didn't get a chance to run up front. So we're going to see what Corey McWilliams can do here. New signing for Doane Carroll Racing, Brennan Carroll's team. As we see Callahan move up top. Looks like we see Tanner sitting in the wall. Maybe Caleb Hess in the 51 as well. Looks like just a minor scrape, but this top side is really starting to fall off now. So we're going to go ahead and track this leader as the top just continues to lose time. Jordan Parker, your leader, desperately wants that win. He hasn't won since Kansas in Season 1 back in January of this year. It has been 6 months since the 9 car has gone to victory lane, driven by Jordan Parker. Lucas Lewis never gone to victory lane in the NARAS Cup Series. Joshua Mason, a rookie this season, also never gone to victory lane. Corey McWilliams making his debut tonight. Christian Mullen never won. Callahan is your most recent winner in 5th. Tanner Siddon never won. Caleb Hess has never won. Kenneth Coulson hasn't won since like the 2nd or 3rd race of Season 1 at Las Vegas. Trenton Siddon has never won. Corey Rainey, surprisingly, I don't believe has ever won a race. John Deeds is a rookie this season. John Lewis was close at Daytona of last year before he got netcode at the end. He's never won in this series. Dave Stinson won at Daytona, but he stuck a lap down. Joshua Hahn's never won in the series. Same with Adams and Jordan Auten. So a lot of people who haven't won or haven't won in a very long time. So Jordan Parker looking to break the 6-month winless streak. Obviously, a lot of your race winners late in Season 1 are no longer in the field. I, myself, am a little busy right now. Blake Witkowski took a lot of wins last season. Josh Mayu also took a lot of wins in his 61 car. So a lot of multi-time winners are not returning for Season 2. Jordan Parker wants to become a multi-time winner for the first time in his history. Jordan Parker continues to lead. We have 18 laps to go in the stage here, as we are going to complete lap 73 as we cross the line this time. Parker Motorsports 1, 2, 3, 4 right now, although Josh Mason is trapped on the top and may continue to lose some positions. Jordan Parker and Lucas Lewis disconnected from the rest of this pack. We might see if they can build some sort of gap here, or they might try and pull back and let the second pack get to them so they don't have to push as hard. It might also save them a little bit of fuel if they aren't pushing as hard. We actually see someone on track. Looks like they might get lapped up. I believe that's the 64 of Adams. As Jordan Auten has actually left this race. So he is out of this race in the 29. Just not really the series debut he wanted. He had a long time in pit road. He may have had damage from earlier sometime in this race. That wall can grab you pretty hard here in Atlanta. So Parker Motorsports 1, 2, 3. David Callahan, the first Toyota in 4th. Joshua Mason, the only car on the outside. Stuck there for now, looking for a hole and is not going to get it. Tanner Siddon is behind Callahan on the inside. Oh, not Callahan. Siddon gets loose there. Looks like he might have gotten tagged by the 77 or the 51. You can see him kind of get loose there. Trying to see if I can find it. It's an interesting. It looks like the 77 might have tagged him. Not entirely sure. You see Jordan Parker continuing to lead the bottom. David Callahan. Oh, there's a wreck here. It's the 77 of McWilliams. 77 of McWilliams. The 28 of Kenneth Coulson. Saw that out of the corner of the screen here. Try and see what happened. Obviously, we saw McWilliams get into the back of Sidden earlier, so we'll have to see here. So it looks like he's in the middle, kind of in no man's land. He tries to come down on the 51 of Hess. Yeah, just, there was no room there. He tries to come down on the 51 of Hess, collects Kenneth Coulson. Luckily, there's only those two cars involved, but sucks for the 77 and just unlucky for the 28, who kind of was just an innocent bystander and all of that. So I'll have to see, you know, what kind of damage Coulson sustained. I don't know how hard he hit that wall. I think that 77 might be worse off than anyone here with damage, so we'll have to see here. So we see our third caution of the day. Everyone will go to pit road. Everyone will be able to make it on fuel at the end of the stage. As it looks like Jordan Parker actually chooses to stay out. I believe he's the only car that decides to stay out here. Unless he's... It's an interesting decision. I'm trying to see here. I don't know why that's pulled up. I'm trying to see here. Yeah, it looks like Jordan Parker just decides to stay out. Or maybe the pits weren't open for him. It's an interesting decision nonetheless. We'll have to see if they let him pit in. We'll have to see. It's just weird to see Parker decide to stay out, because Parker is usually pretty good when it comes to fuel strategy. So I don't know if that's a strategy call from Parker. Yeah, Parker's gonna have to pit in. Must have just not been open when he passed the pit entry. So that pace car timing really did hurt the 9 of Jordan Parker. As we are going to go ahead and move to another commercial from iRacing, so you don't have to listen to me talk about nothing for the entire pit cycle. That is going to be all from iRacing as we see Jordan Parker leaving pit road. It's just a very unlucky call there for Parker. Although the big news is that you're going to have Callahan. You're going to have Rainey back up front. You have Callahan in second. And you have Hess in third. So it's likely you'll see Callahan and Hess line up together, because they've been together essentially all race. You see Parker join the back of the field there. Just really got caught out. I think it was by the pace car, because sometimes if the pace car doesn't get to you, your pits just don't open. So I just am not sure. As we are going to get to the choose cone here to go 1 to green. Looks like Corey Rainey likely will choose the inside. That has seemed to be the preferred line for restarts. It's just quicker to hold it wide open around the bottom than it is around the top. At least on fresh tires. I don't know if some of these drivers took tires. I don't believe that it shows me that. No. Yeah, so everyone pitted on 77. Jordan Parker and Joshua Hahn pitted on a 78. I think Hahn pitted twice, just to be safe on fuel. Parker pitted because he missed the open pits because of where the pace car was. So we'll have to see what happens here. Corey McWilliams is still on pit road after his damage. Kenneth Colson was able to get up out of pit road. So hopefully his damage is fixed, as he was just an innocent bystander in that last accident. Down the backstretch, we are waiting for the race to go green. Looks like Rainey chooses the bottom. As expected, both Toyotas line up on the top. Lucas Lewis will choose the bottom behind Rainey. Looks like Mullen will be on the bottom. Mason will be third on the top. So you both Fisher Studios cars in row 3. So we'll really have to see what happens here. Rainey's kind of on his own. The next Ford isn't until P8 with John Deeds, his teammate. So, you know, he really doesn't have a lot of help here. But we're going to go green here with 10 to go in stage 2. We'll have to see what Corey Rainey can do here and if he can keep this lead. He hasn't been in the lead since lap 1. So let's see. Corey Rainey is going to take us to green. Lucas Lewis will follow behind. The two Toyotas trying to get a run on the top. Will try to get back to the lead after losing it. Looks like Mason's going to drop to the bottom. Hess going to choose to stay behind Callahan, even though he had gotten the room on the bottom. So we'll see what Hess and Callahan can do on this start. They're going to have 10 laps to get back to the lead and hold it. The stage will end on lap 90. Lewis looks like he's going to move to the top. He wants the stage win. And he wants it badly. So Lewis is going to go to the top in front of Callahan and Hess. Looks like John Deeds is going to stay behind Caleb Hess. So you have 4 on the top side. Everyone else looks like they're going to stay on the bottom. Lucas trying to go around the outside of Rainey. He's going to nose out ahead. Looks like Caleb Hess did lose a bit of ground there. We'll have to see if anyone else decides to move in front of Hess. If they split those Toyotas, that could be a big deal here. Looks like Jordan Parker is behind John Deeds on the top side, so Jordan Parker wants to get moving. Lucas Lewis got clear. Looks like they're 3 wide for second right now. The Toyotas got put all the way up on the wall as Josh Mason shoved his nose under the 1 car. John Deeds is in the wall. Is going to put the 9 under the apron. The 9 is going to come back up on track. Is almost going to get into the 28. Looks like we might have something in the back there. That was chaos on the front stretch. The 9 looks like everyone's going to keep it going. It was all started from a 3 wide move out of 4 when Mason put the 1 of Rainey in the middle of 3, which in turn ended up putting John Deeds in the 22 into the wall on the front stretch and just led to absolute chaos here as Jordan Parker is going to get back to the field. Caleb Hess, I think, is possibly starting to kind of back up a little bit, doesn't want to be involved in anything. Like we said, has had bad luck for the last 2 weeks, so really just trying to see what he can do. Lucas drops down to the bottom. Callahan sits in second. Fisher Studios fighting each other for third. Tanner sit in fourth on the bottom. Corey Rainey second on the top. Lucas Lewis gets moved to the top. Callahan actually did the same move that Parker did to him earlier in the race. Callahan moved under Lewis on the front stretch. Lewis is going to have to fall all the way back in front of Mason. And they're going to have to get that run all over again. So Callahan, the lone Toyota, as Hess has fallen all the way back to 10th. There's 9 cars between Toyotas right now. And then Lewis is a second behind. John Lewis is just sitting behind there. Like I said, I think he's just trying to survive to the end. Callahan's going to make a late block on the bottom here. You see Jordan Parker's already made his way up to 4th on the bottom after almost getting wrecked on the front stretch. There's a gap there to the 81 and the 5. We'll have to see if anyone is able to use it. Hahn actually got the free pass under the last caution. It was a lap down. Now is 3rd in line, and he's clear if he wants to make that move. Looks like Christian Mullen looks to make a move. Hahn going to go to the back of Mullen. Callahan stays on the bottom. Mullen as well. Tanner sitting to the top. You got someone in the wall there. I believe that is... I have no clue. I think it's the 1 of Rainey actually was in the wall. Yeah, it's the 1 of Rainey. Callahan stays on top. We got 4 lined up on the top. Callahan's doing everything he can. Coming to 3 laps to go to win stage 2. So it's Callahan, Sidden, Lewis. then Mullen, and then you have Hahn and Mason fighting. Hahn's going to clear Mason for 5th. Deeds, after hitting the wall, is trying to get around Mason. So Deeds stayed in the points. Hess has gone from 10th to 8th. So now there's 7 cars between the Toyotas. If Hess can get up to the 81 of Callahan, I think you can see them make a major move. Hess is actually, you're going to see him move out of line there on the back of your screen. Tanner's going to clear down in front of Lewis. Is going to wreck. Oh, we see him sideways. He's going to save it. Tanner that's the second time tonight we've seen someone turn down onto somebody and it almost caused an accident. Thankfully, Tanner Sidden was able to save it. He will fall all the way back down to 7th. We saw the 51 check up pretty majorly. A lot of the people behind Sidden checked out because it's, very easy to assume he's going to overcorrect that car. As we're coming to 1 to go in the stage, it is a 2-way battle right now between Lewis and Callahan. Lewis goes low. Callahan going to look to block. Lewis gets loose on the bottom. He's going to have one more shot at this. Lap 90. So it's final lap of the stage. You've now got both Fisher Studios cars on the back of this pack. It is 3 Parker Motorsports cars against the 81 of Callahan. The 5 of Christian Mullen goes high. Will Callahan block? He chooses to go high. They're 3 wide. Callahan goes back to the bottom. He needs the 24 of Lewis. Lewis won't help him. He has teammates. Mullen clears down in front of Callahan. I don't think Callahan's going to have a run here. Callahan getting a bump from Lewis. Almost turned. Christian Mullen in the 5 is going to win stage 2. Callahan 3rd. Callahan 2nd. Josh Mason 3rd. Lucas Lewis 4th. A crazy way to end the stage is I wasn't sure that the 2 Fisher Studios cars, I didn't think they'd be able to connect back up with the 81 and the 24, but I think when Lewis got loose, it really opened the door for those 2 to catch back up. So, looks like Tanner Sidden will finish 5th, John Deed 6th, Corey Rainey in 7th, Joshua Hahn in 8th, face car's drifting. Tanner Sidden 9th, and Caleb Hess will round out the top 10. Jordan Parker looks like he barely misses out on stage points in 11th. John Lewis dropping back will finish 12th. Kenneth Colson, possibly still having some damage, will be 13th. Dave Stinson, who will get the free pass this time, is 14th. And then Thomas Adams, 15th. Mick Williams is still on pit road following his incident a few laps prior. But Parker Motorsports is going to win stage 2. So you have Caleb Hess with the new Tricon team winning stage 1. Christian Mullen getting his, I believe, first stage win in history for him. I might have to double check that with some of our historians, I guess you could say. So Christian Mullen takes stage 1 after a late move on the last lap. Takes stage 2 after a last lap move on the 81 of Callahan and the 24 of Lewis. I really thought that maybe Lewis would be able to get a little bit more out of that. But he just chose to stay on the bottom, and Mason kind of, I think if Christian stayed on the top, I think there was a very good chance that that Mullen and Mason could have had a 1-2 for the Fisher Studios cars, as we see everyone dive on the pit road now. I would love to see the strategy call, especially for this 5 car. I want to see if they take tires. I think it's highly likely you'll see them take tires. With as much sliding as we've seen, especially recently. I know that 96 of Sidden will take tires after his slide in 4. As we currently are awaiting pit stops, I'm going to go ahead and take you to commercial while we wait for these, and we will be back to interview the 5 of Christian Mullen. once again, another look at the reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're going to go ahead and pull up the 5 of Christian Mullen now that they've completed their pit stops. And our stage winner. Christian is Owen in the booth. Do you got me? I believe that's your first stage win ever, right? So, obviously, you and Josh had a massive run on the 81 and the 24. What was your decision making when it came to moving to the outside and trying to get around both of those cars? Do you think if you would have stayed on the top, you could have gotten a 1-2 for the Fisher Studios cars? If you were to pull them around?
Much as the run we had, I think we could have got it.
Alright, well, I'm going to let you focus on this restart. Congratulations on your first stage win, and we might be able to interview you later.
Thank you.
Alright, and apologies, I just realized I have my Discord muted. I was trying to figure out a dispute earlier during the pre-race. So, Caleb has his interview. It happened, I swear. Obviously, we have one of the Parker Motorsports guys on the Fisher Studios channel saying 5 against the world. That was not me. I am not logged in on that account right now. So, we will have to see. Alright, we're going to come around here for the final stage. Looks like we're going to have... What? I'm not doing math. 73 laps for this final stage. So at least you're going to require 1 pit stop at least here for fuel. Corey Rainey is going to lead the field to green here. Jordan Parker on the outside. He's going to go. John Lewis in the 15 has found himself in 3rd, but may have missed a gear there on the start. Corey Rainey shot out of a rocket. So Jordan Parker's going to try and clear down on the 15 of Lewis. I can't strain how many times we've seen someone try to clear down on the car inside of them, and that's been a lot of our accidents today. It's just somebody trying to turn down. As we actually see a second pack. Looks like Stinson wasn't able to get going, so the top 9 are all together. So you have all 3 Toyotas are in this pack. So it looks like Lewis is starting to go now. So you have Callahan, Hess, and John Lewis all together. You have Lucas as well. You have all 4 Parker Motorsports cars in this top 9. So you have the 4 Chevys, the 3 Toyotas, and then you have the 1 of Rainey and the 42 of Han. So in those 2, the only relation they have is being Ford. They are not teammates. Rainey is on RFD, and Han is on Race Chatter, so they are not able really to communicate as well as some of these other teams. Callahan leads the top line currently with Josh Mason behind and Caleb Hess trailing him. Looking to the outside of the 9 of Parker. Oh, there's a caution behind. Looks like Kenneth Coulson again here. So we'll see what happened here. What to see? It showed Kenneth. Oh! Looks like a big wreck in the tri-oval. Let's see. So Kenneth tries to follow the 64 Adams. The Adams is a lap car at this point in time. So he's on the outside. He goes to the bottom. Adams just slides up into the 22. Kenneth hits the inside. Adams is going to tag the inside. Deeds might have actually been the best out of that. I thought the pace cars would hit Rainey, or not Rainey, Coulson for a second. But yeah, just... I just don't know. Adams is 3 laps down at the time of the caution. As a driver, I'm not happy. And I would not be happy in that situation. We actually see Corey Rainey on pit road, as well as John Lewis, Lucas Lewis, the Sidden brothers, Kenneth Coulson, and John Dietz, who are both in the wreck. So yeah, it's an interesting decision, and obviously there won't be a free pass actually because John Deeds would have been the free pass, and since he was involved in the incident, will not receive it. So, yeah, very interesting. Yeah, very. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, you were expecting to see one of those in land on the front stretch. It was bound to happen at some point, knowing how this track is. So. Yeah, so according to race control, there's a 64's cause, which we all saw. So the 64 will start at the back. Obviously, he's 3 laps down, so as a lap car is forced to start at the back anyways due to iRacing rules. They actually gave the free pass to the 77 of McWilliams, it seems like. So sorry, that's not Eric. Corey McWilliams will receive the wave around here. And he will now be 13 laps down, so Corey is hoping for a little bit of chaos through the rest of this race here. As I believe we're coming to the choose cone. So, I believe we'll see something similar here as last time. So we'll see Parker go to the bottom, Callahan go to the top, Hess go to the top. Yeah, you'll see Parker Motorsports on the bottom and the Toyotas go to the top. We'll have to see what Han and everyone behind does. Looks like 3 Fords could be lined up here. Han goes to the bottom, Stinson on the bottom, Rainey chooses the top, Lewis chooses the top, the Sidden brothers both go to the bottom. We're waiting on the 15 of John Lewis and the 28 of Kenneth Colson. Obviously, Colson had more damage to repair after another incident he got involved in. Obviously, Colson is not exactly happy with his race right now. I think there's like... I don't know what's going on in the chat right now. There's like 2 people on the Fish Studios channel, and neither of them are me. So, we'll have to see. We got someone telling someone else on the same account to not text and drive. I don't know. That's not me. So we'll have to see here. So Parker will have control of this restart. He'll lead lap 100. We'll have 67 to go on the start of this. So we'll have to see what happens for the end. As we wait for the pace car to pull off. As Jordan Parker's going to go, he's going to get the push from the 80 Mason. Actually, he missed a shift. He missed a shift. The bottom falls apart. Jordan's still going to get there because I think it forces Callahan to give up the position to the leader. So Parker will, I believe, lead that lap there on Callahan. So it's Parker, Mason on the bottom. There's a large gap to Mullen behind them. Obviously, you have the 2 Toyotas back-to-back once again on the top. They have Rainey behind as well as Lewis. Jordan blocks high. Callahan goes low. Callahan goes... Oh, they're possibly 3 wide. Josh and Mason got into the 51 of Hess. It's a very interesting move there. So Hess and Lewis now are the 2 on the top. Lewis is definitely able to make that run on the top. Hess has obviously made that run on the top. So I think there's still a very good chance that those 2 can find themselves up there in the lead. As Lewis was part of that original 2 that made it up there when it was him and Callahan, I believe. Callahan continues to lead Jordan. We'll have to see if Jordan is able to do anything here, or if he continues to just kind of log laps. We still have quite a ways to go. So, we will have to see. 2 wide for 3rd place currently. As we see Rainey's moved to the top ahead of Hess. So we have 3 on the top, 5 on the bottom, and then we have a gap there to the Sidden brothers, Stinson, John Lewis, Kenneth Colson. I believe Colson at this point is just trying to survive. He's a magnet, apparently. So Callahan actually moves to the top. I think the top is Callahan's preferred line. He's kind of found more success there all night. As Rainey's actually going to try and put Callahan 3 wide, is not going to be able to make it stick. Kind of just forces this top line to fall apart. As Josh Mason's going to get clear. Callahan's trying to make another run. He's trying to do anything. He'd love to go back-to-back. He told us he was conservative. He lied. He's been up here all night. I don't want to hear it anymore about conservative. So 3 Parker Motorsports cars lined up on the bottom. Hess has finally bailed the top line, and he's down on the bottom as well. I think if he can get ahead of Rainey and behind Callahan, you'll see him move back up, but I don't know if that opportunity will ever arise. So we'll have to see. Mason possibly looking under Parker there, or possibly just trying to get some air to the nose. It looks like Parker's going to try and block Callahan on the top side. Callahan's just going to go higher. Callahan to the outside of Parker with Rainey behind. We'll have to see if Parker decides to block the high side. He chooses not to. He still has Mason behind him, as well as another one of his cars, and Christian Mullen. Callahan is going to have another run here out of 2 with the one of Rainey behind him. We'll have to see what Jordan chooses to do. Jordan is still on the bottom. Callahan actually loses time this time. He's not able to get a run. Looks like Rainey's just disconnected and is not able to get that top side moving. As this top side starts to kind of fall off a little bit. You'll see it kind of resurge itself later on in the run in probably a lap or 2, but it just kind of falls off here every now and then if the cars aren't connected. As we see Rainey's back to the rear bumper of the 81, you'll see Parker. Ooh! Parker got put top of 3. Ooh, Callahan's able to... This is crazy. Callahan clears the 88, goes to the bottom. Now Parker's the one on the top. Callahan's ahead of the 2 Parker Motorsports cars. Rainey tries to go to the bottom. Is going to make contact with the 42 of Hahn. They're 3 wide. Rainey's forced to back out so he doesn't hook the 9 down the track. Hahn moves up to 4th. The 51 is now up to... Actually, the 51 is going to move to 5th. Parker's not able to find a space in line. So Caleb Hess, who dropped to the inside early, is going to move back up to 5th. Rainey's going to try and go back around the top. We'll see if Hess tries to go with him. I believe Hess is going to find this a little bit more... You know, he doesn't have his teammate in Callahan, really. I know they're not technically teammates, but as a manufacturer, when there's only 3 of you in the field and one of you is playing extremely conservative, you know, you kind of have to find each other. You kind of have to understand, yeah, I have to work with this guy, otherwise no one else will. And it really just ends up being better for your races. For both ends, and that's really what you want. It's a little bit of give and take, especially somewhere like Atlanta, where you're not really on each other's bumper as much as Daytona or Talladega. You're not gridlocked as badly, I guess you could say. As we see, yeah, the 64 of Adams has left the race. The 9 is actually going to dive below the 24. It looks like he's trying to make up some positions. Looks like they're snaking here. The Mason's going to dive below the 81. You see Hess immediately jump to the top to try and assist David Callahan in the Toyota. Callahan obviously trying to go back-to-back. Hess trying to get his first win. Hess definitely has the pace to do it. I think Callahan obviously has the pace to go back-to-back as well. All of these Parker Motorsports cars have shown winning pace. Jordan Parker, I think, has led the most laps out of all of them. So, but it's really about just positioning. The first 166 laps really don't matter here. Maybe lap 45 and lap 90, because those pay points to the top 10. But the one that matters the most is going to be lap 167, or possibly after that if we have to go to overtime. But really, the first 166 laps is just about positioning yourself to make that move on 167. And some people are going to position themselves great, and some people aren't. People back there, if this goes green all the way, the 28 of Coulson, he's not going to have done a great job of positioning himself in the first 166 laps. Someone like Mullen or Hahn, while he didn't have a good first 90 laps, he could have a great last 60 so laps and put himself in a position to win this race. So, it's just really, some of it's luck. A lot of it is finding yourself in the right place at the right time, but you have to have the ability to put yourself in that position to capitalize. And that's what a lot of this lead pack is doing. Now, the major concern right now is fuel. I think this entire main pack is going to pit in 2 groups. I think that's the best decision for them. I think you'll see Parker Motorsports pull off in one, and I think you'll see the 2 Toyotas and the 2 Fords pull off in another. Joshua Mason continues to lead. The Siddon brothers still remain about 2.5 seconds back. They remain the same pace. Oh, we actually see the 5 get into the back of the 88. It's going to unsettle the 88. It's going to allow the top line to get moving. Callahan and Hess are now clear this entire top line. It was just a bad push from the 5 to the 88, and it resulted in that inside line really falling apart there. An interesting lapse in teamwork, I guess you could say, with those cars, as they've been kind of glued together all night. And it's the first real major mistake we've seen out of them. As we see the 2 Toyotas back in front of the field, David Callahan leading once again. I feel like Caleb Hess definitely feels better as the pusher. He's kind of found himself in second all night. He led a little bit early in this race, but definitely has kind of positioned himself in P2 for a majority of it. He kind of races how I do, where I like to be pushing more than I like to be pushed. Obviously, you have Lucas Lewis has found himself back in third, Corey Rainey back in fourth. We have Joshua Mason in fifth after that little scare with Christian Mullen. Jordan Parker's actually moved to the top side, looking to make up some position. He really doesn't want to be at the back of this train because he doesn't want to risk losing the draft. Looks like we see one of the Fisher Studios, actually both of the Fisher Studios cars move to the top. So does Lucas, so all 4 Parker cars are now on the top. Actually, Jordan had to move to the bottom because the 5 of Mullen got into the outside wall in 3 and 4. So maybe that teamwork not really working how they wanted it to. Starting to see a little bit of replays from Daytona, a lot of that kind of ideas that never worked, a lot of that teamwork that never happened from Parker Motorsports. They really are trying to get themselves together right now. It hasn't been great the first 2 weeks for this team. They haven't had a lot of luck. They've just found themselves in poor positions, but they're in a great position tonight. They occupy over half of this lead pack. They have the numbers. They just have to play them to their advantage, and that's something that right now, when you're 4th through 7th, it's not really to your advantage right now when you're too wide with your own teammates. So I think if you see them get in line on the top, that there's a really good chance that you can see that Parker Motorsports team get moving. But as of right now, they just aren't able to get off of each other when it comes to side by side. However, the 81 and the 51 have been working together great, I believe, all night. Obviously, they've gotten split up sometimes. There's been every now and then a little hiccup, but that's common when you see 2 manufacturer teammates who aren't able to really communicate as well. They're not in the same team chat like all the Parker Motorsports guys are going to be. So really, it's kind of it's impressive to see how well they've been able to work together here. As you see, the 5 and the 24 have tried to move to the top side. We'll see if they're able to make anything happen. Rainey's moved to third on the bottom here. Lucas really, and the 88 actually bailed on the 24, and the 5 just fell way off. So I think you'll see the 24 and the 5 fall back here. As we got a possible lap car. It looks like maybe the 22 of Deeds, I believe. I'm trying to see. I believe that's the 22 of Deeds. Yes, it is. So we'll have to see what the 22 of Deeds does here for this lead pack. So it looks like Deeds is going to stay low, force the pack high. That's really going to shuffle. We might see some sort of incident here. It's not uncommon when you see lap cars stay low. Looks like Rainey's going to choose to push Deeds. That's actually going to hurt Rainey more than it is going to help Deeds here. So, yeah, it's interesting to see a lap car go to the bottom, especially at a track like Atlanta. As now he's involved now in this fight for the lead. As Callahan, Hess, clear low. Mason is also clear to the bottom. Looks like Lucas Lewis and Christian Mullen are going to get stuck on the top side. As John Deeds kind of finds himself in the middle of the wolf pack here. The biggest thing right now is the fact that Corey Rainey has found himself a teammate. John Deeds and Corey Rainey are teammates. So if Corey feels better being behind Deeds, and that's going to help boost Corey's confidence, Corey kind of just upped his chance of winning this race because he has someone that he can trust. And I believe we're starting to approach possibly our longest green flag run of the night. I believe our first caution was 30 so laps in. So I think if we hit 130 some, I think that'll be our longest green flag run of the night. As we see the 88 tries to get down, 22 doesn't let it happen. We have a caution in the back here. I don't see what for. It looks like the 15 of Lewis, possibly? I'm not entirely sure. Oh, it looks like the 5 of Mullen, actually. Christian Mullen looks slow here. I'm not entirely... it's Tanner Siddon and Christian Mullen. It's very possible that the Siddon brothers could have caught up to the back of this pack here, or Mullen could have fallen back. Is this the same thing, different? Actually, no, Siddon slides up, and then Dave just ends up pushing the 96 even more. So yeah, Christian's on the high side. Siddon kind of ends up in the middle. So waiting race control here on a final decision. But it looks like Dave Stinson might have played a slight role in that, as he bumped. You can see he bumps the 96 a little bit, but just kind of a wrong place, wrong time for a lot of these drivers. Christian Mullen obviously got backed up against the wall. So I believe. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. So it looks like Christian Mullen actually might have stayed out, unless he's going to pit a lap later. But it looks like he does have some rear damage here. It's an interesting choice. So you cannot make it to the end on fuel. Some drivers, if they save in the back, if you get the entire pack, maybe. But it's going to be really iffy if you can make it all the way on fuel. So according to race control, looks like the 33 pushed this 96 into the middle, and that's what caused the contact. So according to what I'm seeing, it seems like the 33 is going to receive a drive-through on this restart here. So Dave Stinson, your Daytona winner. It doesn't hurt him too bad because he has that win in his pocket. He can kind of afford to kind of have an issue. Because, I mean, even if he goes a lap down, there's a good chance there's going to be another caution. Because you're going to start getting really feisty, and I think you're going to have another pit sort of issue. And there's a good chance, I think someone might have missed their pit stall. I think someone, where is it? I thought I saw someone keep going. What? I'm not entirely sure. That's a new one. But it looks like David Callahan is going to lead this race here. And it's either Callahan or Rainey. So we will have to see. As we're going to go green with, seems like 41 laps to go here in the race. So I mean, I think if you're saving at the back, I think you can definitely make it. But I also wouldn't want to give up that much time, because if you get one caution, someone can save enough to get up there. So we will have to see on this restart. This could easily be the final restart of the day. This could easily be nothing close to the final restart of the day, depending on how aggressive these drivers want to get. So we will have to see. As the pace car is going to pull into pit road off of 4. Looks like Callahan is going to lead us to the green here. So Callahan and Hess on the top. Callahan's going to get going. Rainey actually gets a really good jump. Hess not as good. So we'll have to see what happens here. Looks like, yeah, Hess got such a, or sorry, Rainey got such a good jump that he's actually able to stay on the inside of Callahan here. Hess is going to try and get to the back of Callahan and push him through. His Deeds remains 1 lap down. We'll see the 33 won't service drive through this time. May receive it on the next lap. We'll have to see. So David Callahan looking to the outside of Corey Rainey. Josh Mason trying to push Rainey forward. Caleb Hess trying to keep Callahan in front. Obviously Hess did not have a great start. Corey Rainey had a great start. Probably the best we've seen. Tanner Siddon is still on pit road after that incident. We'll have to see if the 33 of Dave Stinson decides to pit in this time. No, he does not. So we'll have to see when he decides to go in. The 51 and the 81 have cleared for the lead. Lucas Lewis has moved his way up into third. Joshua Mason decides to go around the outside of the one of Rainey into fourth. And he's trying to fight for it, but I don't know if he's able to get it. He has no help. He's no one in front, no one behind. And I think there's a very high chance he may lose a lot of... Yeah, you can see him losing a lot of position on that top side. So David Callahan, Caleb Hess, Lucas Lewis, Corey Rainey. And then you have a small gap back to Joshua Hahn. Then you have the 99 of Trenton Sidden, the 88 of Josh Mason, and the 9 of Parker, and then the 5 of Mullen. So you're going to have 3 Parker Motorsports cars back-to-back. Then you have the 33 of Stinson, who are still waiting to serve their penalty. And the 15 of Lewis, who's once again dropped back, I believe, to decide to, I guess, conserve himself. As they're lined up on the bottom, so it looks like they're trying to, I guess, log some laps to make it to the end of this race. We'll find out in a little bit, I guess. So Callahan continues to lead. So I'm trying to find some kind of battle here. Joshua Mason just set the fastest lap of, or well, a green lap for him, so I guess his fastest lap. You see him pushing the back of the 99. I think some of these guys definitely want to move, but at the same time, they don't have the option to play that fuel game. Looks like the 33 will not be forced to serve that penalty, according to race control, due to the nature of the incident. So not a lot of changes going on right now. We're within 40 to go, so if there's a caution now and you pit for fuel, you will not have to pit for the rest of the race unless it is for damage. So we will have to see what these drivers decide. If there is a caution that comes out, I think, these drivers in the back that could possibly be saving fuel, like the 9 of Parker, the 5 of Mullen, they might be able to go the distance here. And that's really what we're going to be watching. I don't think Callahan and Hess will be able to make it, just due to the nature of where they are on track. The leader's going to burn more fuel than anybody else. So, it's really just a matter of, who can do it the best. Now, something else you have to look out for is, I know Lewis is losing all this time, but there's a possibility that he is saving the fuel he needs, and then if everyone else has to pit, he'll just kind of keep on going a little bit slower, but with the pit cycle being so long here at Atlanta, you're going to go a lap down because you have to enter into 3 and ride all the way around the apron in 3 and 4 and then go pit speed, which is like 45 or 55 for the entirety of the front stretch. It's a really long pit cycle. So, it could play into John Lewis's hands if everyone else has to pit. We'll just have to see here. It's just, as of right now, everyone's kind of lined up. Trenton Sidden's kind of stuck on the top here. Might have gotten moved out of line by the 88 of Josh Mason. You see the 5 get to the back of the 9. Obviously, all 3 of those Parker Motorsports cars, 7th, 8th, 9th, then Lewis up there in 3rd. So the top 10, all in this pack. John Lewis a ways back. John Deeds a lap down. The 96 of Sidden is still on pit road. The 77 of McWilliams, I'm not entirely sure where he's at. He's back here on his own. We have, where's John Dees? John Dees is actually in this pack here. He's near the back. He's kind of not getting too involved. And then you have John Lewis, who's kind of in no man's land on the backstretch right now. He really is kind of, I want to say it's strategy. I definitely think it could play into his hands, especially if there's a big caution that takes out a lot of these front runners. And with how little there is to go, it's definitely possible, as we're going to be within 30 to go as we cross the line this time. So, it's definitely possible you could see something like that happen late in this race, as it has magically gotten darker somehow. So, I don't know, that was magic. The track just got darker. The 51 of Hess continues to follow the 81 of Callahan. I'm going to go ahead and run through the field, as there's not a ton going on here, so we're going to go ahead and look at Callahan. So David Callahan sits P1. Has kind of been, you know, he's been the leading Toyota of the two. Then you find Caleb Hess in second. He's been essentially Callahan's pusher. He's his best man for the entirety of this race. Lucas Lewis in third. Up 11 positions, was not able to qualify after last week's wreck with John Deeds. Corey Rainey started on pole, led the first lap and fell back. He's kind of been up in front ever since. He's kind of thrown caution to the wind. He's trying to make some moves, but has no teammates around him to help. Joshua Mason, 5th. He's been kind of moving around all day, been up and down, especially the last 2 weeks. Not really showing race-winning speed, but anything can happen here at Atlanta today. Jordan Parker desperately wants that win after the last 2 weeks. Got wrecked out at the end of Daytona, got wrecked on lap 4 of Las Vegas. Had a car that could have won until right front damage ended his day. Joshua Hahn was strong at Daytona. You know, doesn't have a lot of teammates around him. He's the 33 of Stinson, who he worked with quite a bit at Daytona, but no real teammates around him currently. Then you have Christian Mullen, who won stage 2, his first stage win ever. Has the ability, I think, to go out and be strong in this race. Was involved in that last caution. Backed into the wall, but I believe all of that is fixed here. Then you have Dave Stinson, your Daytona 500 winner, won it on the last lap after a bunch of chaos. And then Trenton Sidden, who currently sits 10th. As we're going to go ahead and watch the 9 of Jordan Parker. We see him move to the outside. They're 3 wide, possibly for that position. Josh Mason clears up top. Lucas Lewis. So you now have 3 of the Parker Motorsports cars, 1, 2, 3 on the top side. Possibly looking to pass the 2 Toyotas, who've kind of been leading for quite a bit of this now. As we see how viable this outside is. This is the most cars I think we've seen on this outside all night. Lewis is actually going to get ahead of Callahan in 1 and 2. So they've made a ton of ground in just a lap. Lewis kind of pinches Callahan down to the bottom. Oh, he gets loose! Callahan down to the inside. We'll see what happens with Callahan here. He saves it. He might get unsafe pit exit though. I think it'll get cleared. That could be detrimental for Lucas. They've been on him about aggressive driving. I don't know how race control is going to view that. So off of 2, you could see Lucas kind of pinch the 81. We're going to go ahead and watch here from Birdseye. Oh, he gets a bad bump from Josh Mason, which hits him down into the 81. The 81 does a great job of saving this. The 81 has a great save in this accident. He gets stored by the... So obviously he gets stored by the 24. Is going towards the inside wall. Barely keeps it off of it. Is able to save it and go on the inside. But you can see he's going to lose the draft here. And just... It's just not good for the 81 who was so strong early in this race. And now you can see he is 3 seconds and continuing to lose time with 23 laps to go. Lucas Lewis, after that incident, is in first. His teammates, second, third. His final teammate of Mullen in 7th. Caleb Hess no longer has any help around him, as his only help in David Callahan is now, 4 seconds back and continuing to lose time. So we'll have to see what happens here. Lewis continues to leading his first laps in quite a while. Kind of got mired back in traffic after some issues. Obviously is able to inherit the lead after a bad push from his teammate. Wipes out the guy on his inside. Hess is really going to try and scramble to figure out something to do here. He doesn't really have anyone to work with. It's likely we'll see the 1 of Rain. Oh, we'll see Hess actually try and go to the outside on his own here. As there's a major gap between second and third, so Hess might try and slide in there and try and take third from Jordan Parker. It doesn't look like that's going to be able to happen. So, but due to this, there's a major gap forming, so whoever gets clear is going to have a major run on these two, and there's a very good chance that we can see them try and go for a move. 20 to go. I don't think these drivers have enough fuel to make it to the end here, except for maybe Stinson. maybe Trent Siddon, who's been sitting at the back. I think some of these guys up front who are being very aggressive and trying to go for the lead, I think they're praying for a caution right now. I don't think they can make it on fuel. So a lot of these guys in front, they want a caution. Looks like they might be coming up on the lap car of Lewis here in a few moments. You can see him up there with either McWilliams or Siddon. You see Caleb Hess continuing to lose time on the top. Yeah, Hess just, ever since he lost Callahan, has not been able to do anything, and it's just because Callahan and Hess were really the only Toyotas that were able to work together. Obviously, John Lewis is 26 seconds back. Kind of in no man's land. I think that's by design, but you know it doesn't really help him or his Toyota teammates. It actually looks like all of Parker Motorsports is going to be pitting this time. So the 24 of Lewis, the 88 of Mason, the 9 of Parker, the 42 of Hahn, the 5 of Mullen, and the 33 of Stinson are all going to pit together. You're going to have Hess, Rainey, and Siddon. It looks like Hess actually got around. This is going to hurt them on pits, though. These guys are all going to need to pit together. I don't think they will. I think Hess is going to end up pitting alone. Yeah, Hess pits with Trent and Siddon, it looks like. We'll have to make sure. If your tires go outside that white line, you're going to get a penalty. So you really got to watch that. So we'll see what happens here. Hess now on pit road. Siddon now on pit road. Rainey is for the final car out. However, he does have his teammate of John Deeds with him, so they'll probably pit together. They might be stretching it a little bit. But since the last car's out, I don't really see the point in stretching it too long. Because the longer they're alone, I think the more they're going to continue to lose time to those who pit together. The big thing right now is the fact that Joshua Mason is out way ahead of his teammates. Lucas Lewis is all the way back there. I don't know where Jordan is. Jordan's wrecked. Jordan's day is done. You can see that right front is destroyed. Looks like another incident out of pit road here. Might be the same thing that happened to Stinson. Coming out of pit road is on the apron, hits that. Oh, he hits that transition and just noses it into the outside wall. That's going to be Jordan Parker's day finished. And that's going to majorly benefit the one of Corey Rainey. But a hard finish to the day for Jordan Parker in the 9 car. So Rainey and John Lewis, I think, are going to be the best out of this because everyone else is 1 lap down. So they're going to be forced to take the wave around. Rainey and Lewis will start on the front row. If they even choose to pit. Lewis might have saved enough gas to make it to the end. If he can trap the entire field a lap down, he can afford to go a bit slower. Never mind, he pit. I was really hoping he was going to do something there. There was a good chance for some kind of crazy strategy call. So we're going to go green here with, I believe, about 18, or not 18 to go. We're already 14 to go. We're going to go green here with, I think, 10, 11 to go, possibly. We're going to go ahead and throw on a commercial from our partners at iRacing, and I'll catch you all in a minute. Alright, and we are back at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It looks like we are going to the choose cone this time. So Corey Rainey and John Lewis went long on strategy. John Deeds actually is going to get the free pass, so he'll be third, I believe, since everyone else was required to take the wave around. So very interesting here. Very big change in strategy. Like I said, all of these cars are going to be forced to take the wave around. Hess, Siddon, Mason, Lewis, Mullen, Hahn, Callahan, Stinson. The big thing is Callahan has Hess again. Callahan and Hess can get back together with... Looks like it's going to be 12 to go at the line. If they can get back together, there's a very good chance that one of those Toyotas could win this race. So as we wait now to go... Actually, the caution got extended, I think, because we had so many wave around cars. So we're just waiting to see. Yeah, I think the caution got extended because we had the entire field almost wave around, so they had to make sure that all the cars could get back because 3 cars going for the win probably wouldn't be the most exciting thing we've ever seen. So, yeah, horrible finish to the day for Jordan Parker, who had a strong car. That's 3 races in a row that he's going to have issues with cautions and accidents. So that's something he's really going to want back. Because I don't understand. I feel like Stinson should have gotten the wave around there. Looks like Stinson's just going to go a lap down. I would have thought that he would have gotten the wave around, but okay. So Corey Rainey will be the control car. John Lewis will be the first car on the bottom. Trenton Siddon will be the second car. The big thing is you got Hess. Hess is second on the top, so he's going to be able to get the jump. Callahan is fourth on the top. So if Callahan can get around the 24 of Lucas Lewis, he can get to the back of the 51 of Hess. If they can get up there, I think Hess would prefer to be pushing Callahan. We're going to go green here with 11 to go. Everyone's good on fuel. I believe everyone took tires, so they're going to be pushing for all 11 laps. As we see John Lewis actually blinking really bad there. They may take action on that because of how long he was gone. But we'll have to see. You can see him lagging back really bad on the restart, so we'll have to see how this affects the bottom line, as it has 2 of the 3 Parker Motorsports cars that are still in this race, in it. So Corey Rainey will be the control car for hopefully the final restart tonight. As Corey Rainey will take the green. Caleb Hess does not get a good jump. Same with John Lewis. Corey's going to be gone, but this is going to leave him open to both lines getting a massive run. The big thing is right now, Callahan also did not get a great jump. You have to wonder if Callahan's being cautious since he's right behind the 24. As Hess is actually clear, but chooses to stay on the top. We'll see what Hess decides to do. This is weird. I've never seen a race like this. Hess decides to stay on the top. John Lewis is starting to get a run on the bottom. John Lewis has been extremely conservative all night, is now fighting for second with his teammate. So John Lewis is in second. Looks like he might clear the 51 here. Lucas is trying to bump. Actually, John is going to move to the top ahead of Caleb. Caleb's going to hang him out to dry. John isn't going to give him a choice. Caleb's going to get put in the wall here, as he's going to file back on the top side. It seemed like John kind of squeezed him a little bit, as that's really going to hurt this top side. So all 3 Toyotas and Lucas Lewis are now on the top. We'll have to see how this goes. I don't know if John has led a line all night. So, I don't think... That's the problem, is since he hasn't been in the pack all night, nobody really wants to work with him because they don't trust him at all. Like, you can see Callahan dip out. You're going to see... I think you'll see Hess dip out if he can, just to get around this 15. I mean, if he's able to. Yeah, you'll see him slide behind Callahan, I think, here. Oh, looks like he got loose there. Wasn't able to get down. So Hess is going to continue to lose positions. We're going to go back to the front of the field here with Corey Rainey. Callahan's going to move back to the top. He's going to pull. Ooh, Lucas is going to go with him and cut off John Lewis. So it's Callahan, both Lewises, and Hess on the top now. The Fisher Studios car is looking to possibly make a move to the outside, similar to how they finished stage 2. Callahan going to try and get to the outside of Christian Mullen as we cross the line for 7 to go to the end of this race. So we'll have to see what happens. See the top line starting to get formed. Trenton Sitting goes to the outside of Corey Rainey. Both Fishers, or Josh Mason's going to go up to help. Christian Mullen's going to decide to stay behind the 1, so we'll have to, all of Parker Motorsports kind of getting split up right now. Trenton Sitting clears down, so does Josh Mason. That leaves Callahan back in the lead of this top side. Lucas behind. Lucas is going to clear down under Rainey, so now it's only the Toyotas on the top. The entire top side is going to check up really hard there because I think of where Lucas checked down. So I think Callahan's going to have to try and get behind this 24 of Lucas until Hess can get back up to him because I don't, like I said, John has not been in the pack all day to the point that, a really wayward shove. You can see Callahan wiggle really bad there as John Lewis gave him a shove. And that's the thing. John Lewis just didn't have the practice to be in the pack and work on all that for the last 100 and so laps. That I don't know if Callahan or Hess have the trust in him as a manufacturer teammate to go out and lead a push. So Christian Mullen's going to move to the top. So do both the other Parker Motorsports cars. Callahan's going to actually go to the top of Christian Mullen and get put in the wall. He's going to get turned by John Lewis, and that's going to wreck all 3 Toyotas in the same wreck. All 3 Toyotas, I believe, just got caught up in the same wreck. So we're going to go ahead and follow John Lewis here. You see David Callahan goes all the way to the top. Callahan gets put in the wall. Lewis drives into the back of him. Looks like Hess actually just hits the wall pretty lightly, so Hess might be okay. But, I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know. It's a very weird wreck. So, let's play this again. I wanna look at Callahan. So we're watching Callahan. We'll go in slow-mo. So Callahan goes to the outside of Christian Mullen. Mullen slides up a little bit as Callahan's going into the corner, and it puts Callahan in the wall. Callahan gets slowed down because of it, and John looks like he's still in the gas. Runs into the back of Callahan. It right hooks Dave Stinson. Caleb Hess is going to tag the wall right here. Barely get around the 81 of Callahan. But that, once again, that's a big loss for Caleb Hess because the one Toyota that he trusts in this race has now been wrecked out. So, I mean, that's a very big deal for someone like Caleb Hess, whose only teammate, realistically, has been Callahan for the entirety of tonight. So we're going to go ahead with Trenton Sitting, who was able to inherit the lead of this race. As I am still in slow-mo. As we are going to go ahead and introduce a second commentator, the driver of the 9 car a few laps ago, Jordan Parker.
Oh, man. Well, had a good race. Led a lot of laps. Proud of my team for keeping it up front, but we're going to finish off the broadcast with you tonight.
Yeah, so obviously not the seat you want to be in right now, but since you're here, I'll do an infield care center interview. Obviously, this is the 3rd week in a row where you've not been able to finish. Well, realistically, you've not been able to finish. Obviously, you finished at Daytona, but you were in the incident at the end of that race as well. So, I mean, you know,
I don't know what I got to do to change around this season. You know, you're seeing it yourself. I've got the pace the entire race until we get down to the last couple of laps, and everything just goes haywire. But we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to get the cars right, and we're trying to get the guys together more often to go over some pre-race strategy. But yeah, it is what it is. Like I told my family in the chat, we'll wrap up and go to California next week.
Yeah, so we'll have to. I mean, do you have a favorite for this race? So we're going. I don't know if it's a natural overtime or what, but I mean, do you have a favorite
for the
2 lap
like
shootout?
natural overtime.
Okay.
Favorite. I gotta go with the 88 or the 24. I would have said one of the Toyotas, but they're kind of deeper in the field, and obviously Callahan got taken out in that last wreck. Caleb is very strong on that high side as long as he has one of the car to work with him. I think that if he can get paired up with somebody else committed, he can make it work.
I mean, we see Corey Rainey and John Deeds together on the top. They're teammates. They're the closest teammates to the front that we see. So I think Trenton's kind of going to get hung out here as we're about to go green. And I believe, yeah, Trenton's the control hit car, so Trenton's going to get going. Corey Rainey once again gets a great start. Christian Mullen lags back. Lucas Lewis to the back of the 88 with 2 laps to the end. At least if this is the final restart, we'll find out. Joshua Mason trying to get clear of that one car so he can make a move. As he's going to get clear, John Deeds actually going to hang out.
He bailed on his teammate.
That is. Oh, he's actually going to try and get back up in front of Rainey. Maybe Rainey trying to get Deeds the win. Lucas is going to try and follow the 88. Deeds is actually going to go to second on the bottom here. He's going to. Oh, he's going to hold the 88.
Crash!
Oh, they're still wrecking.
Oh, I can't call a caution.
They never threw the
This
caution.
is just the white flag. They're gonna race it out.
Corey Rainey versus Trenton Sidden looks like it's going to be the race for the win here.
Trent's gonna go up high and block it.
He's not going to go high enough. Corey Rainey to the outside of Trenton Sidden. We'll have to see what Trenton can do here. Trenton going to try and get to the back of Rainey. We'll see if Trenton's able to get a run here. I don't think he'll be able to. Joshua
It might
Hahn.
be Corey all by himself.
It might be Joshua Hahn if he can get a run here. To the outside.
It's
Corey
gonna be
Rainey.
Corey.
Corey Rainey wins Atlanta on the Super Speedway configuration for the first time ever. I believe that's his first win of the Cup Series, isn't it?
It is.
So Corey Rainey is going to pass Tanner Sidden in the last lap after an interesting last lap caution, or lack of. It wasn't allowing race control to throw a caution, which is the most interesting part of this. But Corey Rainey captures his first NARAS Cup Series victory. Trenton Sidden will finish second. Joshua Hahn will finish third. John Lewis will come home to finish fourth. Christian Mullen fifth. Joshua Mason sixth. Hess got wrecked coming to the line to get the white. He will finish in seventh. John Deeds eighth. Lucas Lewis in ninth. Dave Stinson will finish on pit road in 10th. David Callahan 11th. Mick Williams 12th. Tanner Sidden 13th. Jordan Parker 14th. Kenneth Colson. Thomas Adams. Jordan Auten. And then race control. As we see Deeds celebrating with his teammate of Corey Rainey. Don't know how that's going to go over with race control. Well, I guess as a league owner, we'll get the league owner's standpoint. As a league owner, how do you view that final restart?
Well, when you look on the bottom, the 5 wasn't committed to anybody. He had a slower restart. I think if the 5 would have been there, the inside would have been more organized. The 88 and the 24 had a good chance to take it to the outside, but I think they had a miscommunication with where they were going to go, or a push gone wrong. But, you know, hats off to Trenton and Corey for leading the front row and making it an exciting final restart.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most chaotic finish of one of these races that I've ever seen. So
it's definitely one for the books.
That was not something I was expecting. So what you see here is you see Joshua Mason kind of goes up, and John Deeds gets a massive run in the inside, and you see Mason kind of like, I guess, second guesses himself and tries to come back down when Dietz is already there. And that's something we saw over and over again tonight, especially in out of 4. We saw it. I think we saw it once in stage 1. I know we saw it in stage 2. Obviously, we saw it at the end here. So,
well, if you look at it again, it looks like the 88 tried to follow Trenton, but I guess he just didn't know how close the 22 was, and it just turned him.
Yeah, it's a very interesting finish. And obviously, you had Hess got hit down the track. I don't know by who. I'm trying to take a look here.
Looks like it was the 42. The 51 was going really slow, and the 42 just had nowhere else to go, it looks like.
Well, I think the 51 had to check up for the caution because it was right in front of him. The 42 just kind of drove through the back of him.
Well, I think he thought a caution was going to come out, and it just never did.
Hess? Well, yeah, but I mean, Hess had to check up because the caution was right in front. Like, the wreck was right in front of him, so he's going to be slower. Yeah, so Corey Rainey. Corey Rainey's going to win here in Atlanta. We're going to go ahead.
I know it's called a different name. No one will ever get me to call it Echo Park.
Yeah. I said that early in the stream. I was like, I'm not really calling it that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and start pulling up some people for some interviews.
Yes,
Joshua,
sir. This is all yours. I'm going to go ahead and head out, buddy.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so Joshua Hahn is not in a voice call, so we're not going to be able to grab him. Instead, we're going to grab Trent Sidden. Go ahead and we're going to pull him up. So second place for Trent Sidden. You got me?
What's up?
So obviously not the finish you wanted.
Yeah.
It should have been a caution, but it wouldn't allow race control to throw it. So there's some kind of weird thing with iRacing there. Obviously you weren't really able to get the run after Rainey passed you. We've kind of noticed that it takes a little while to get the run in these cars, especially after just getting passed. So, I mean, do you think there's anything you could have done blocking-wise to try and stay ahead of Rainey, or maybe even give up the position sooner so that you can get that run to go by him at the line?
I could have blocked him real hard out of 2, but I didn't want to wreck both of us because might ruin a second place finish and end up with all that junk. So once he got by me, I knew it was over. But second, I'll take second. Good point stay. Got some stage points.
So, I mean, obviously this is a big rebound from Vegas last week after lap 4. So, I mean, does this help how you approach Auto Club next week?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to do the same thing like I did today at Vegas, just chill and relax, and next thing you know, they're wrecking in front of me. But, yeah, hopefully rebound, go to Auto Club, have a good run there, keep stacking up top 5s, hopefully get a win soon.
Yeah, eventually it'll come. I know some people it takes a little bit longer than others, but I'm sure it'll work out eventually. So
I'm just ready to get off drafting tracks for a bit.
Yeah, I think we're off of them for 2 races. Yeah. So because we're back at Talladega on August 9th, and then we have 2 off weeks, and then we go to Charlotte, and then you're free until like mid-October. So
Good.
So. All right, well, congratulations on P2, and I will catch you next week.
All right, thank you, man.
Yes, sir. All right, that was second place of Trent Sidden. We're going to go ahead and pull up race winner Corey Rainey in the 1 car. Corey, you were able to back up your pole with a win here tonight. How do you I mean, how do you feel about that race?
Oh man, that shouldn't have won that race, man. That was between the 99, the 22, the 24, the 88. Who else was in front of us? The 51. Our teammate, the 22, had a hell of a run. I told him just go and take it, and I'll try to follow him up through there. And I guess the 88 didn't see the 22 down low when he tried to follow the 99 down, and he got hooked. And I was just trying to dodge the wreck. I almost got clipped by the 51, man. Like a half a second later, man, I would have been in the wall, and it would have been the 99 would have had it. But man, I'm happy for our team. We finally got a win. Haven't won since we were in the next gen cars, man. I'm excited, man. I had twins on Thursday morning, man. So it's great to bring a win to them. I'm not going to be here next week. So, I mean, I needed to get a win because I'm going to be missing probably the next 2 weeks. So, um, good for us. Good team win. I think the 22 got 6. So, I mean, 2 top 10s, we'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously with you missing Auto Club, this is really big. Obviously, you're locked into the playoffs now. So, I mean, well, I guess I can't ask how does this make you approach Auto Club. What's after Auto Club? How does this make you approach Kansas after your week break?
Just got to get our teammate in now. Once the teammate's in, then we can go out and have fun. I haven't looked at the schedule for the playoffs yet. So if we have some of these races coming up that we're going to be running in the playoffs, and get our cars tuned up for those races. So, so the mission now is to get to 22. He had to win last week. Some bad luck happened, but, I feel like he should win next weekend. He's going to be fast.
All right, well, that is race winner Corey Rainey. Obviously, congratulations to you tonight, and I will see you, well, I guess not next week. I'll see you in 2 weeks at Kansas.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
Congratulations. All right, that is everything for tonight. That is the Gen 6 Cup car at a not Gen 6 racetrack. That is, I mean, I thought it was exciting. This is the first time I've ever seen this combo. So, yeah, it was definitely new. So we see Corey Rainey take the win. Trenton Sidden, P2. Joshua Hahn comes home in 3rd. John Lewis comes home 4th after sitting, kind of conserving his car all day. Christian Mullen in the 5, your Stage 2 winner, comes home 5th. Joshua Mason comes home 6th. John Deeds comes home 7th. Lucas Lewis got caught at the very end of that wreck, comes home P8. Caleb Hess got turned on the front stretch just due to having to check up for that wreck out of 4, finishes 9th. Dave Stinson finishes 5 laps down after his accident in 10th. David Callahan, same story, in 11th. Corey McWilliams, 12 laps down in his series debut, finishes 12th. Tanner Sidden got involved in another accident. Unlucky once again, finishes 13th. Jordan Parker had an issue off of pit road, finishes 14th. Kenneth Colson in 15th. Thomas Adams drops out in 16th. And Jordan Auden, 125 laps down in 17th. That is going to be all from the NARAS Cup Series here in Atlanta. We are going to see y'all next week at Auto Club in California. So we will have to see who is able to conquer the first 2-miler of the schedule. We will see y'all next week.